Welcome everyone to KPU. We're all very excited to have you join us in the fall 2020 term. So with this presentation right here, we would like to go through a couple of important matters with you so that you know what courses to register or how to proceed with the registration, okay? Okay. So the reason why we're here is we want to teach you how the KPU course registration process. We want to help you to enroll into the correct courses for the fall 2020. We're also going to go through a couple of important matters, for example, how to access the KPU email, how to use the university calendar, what are the important dates and deadlines, and something called the KPU Learning Center, which is very useful for later on when you start the courses with KPU. Oops, sorry. 1 second, guys. Okay, all right. So KPU operates 3 academic semesters per calendar year. So for the fall, we run from September to December, and the registration starts sometime in mid-July. I would suggest that you can go onto the registration system to check when exactly is your registration date and time. Or else I believe we have also sent you an email letting you know when your registration date and time is. Okay, so to log into your registration system, the default password would be your date of birth. So for example, if your date of birth is January 1st, 2000, then for your password, it will be 01, capital J, lowercase a and n, and then 2000. After you have logged in the first time with the default password, you will be asked to change your password to the one that you prefer. Okay. So another important website for you would be the one.kpu.ca right here. If there are any slides in here that you find them important, please feel free to take a screenshot or to use your phone to take a photo. Anything you would like to make notes of the slides. Okay. So on the one.kpu.ca is really important to note. It has a lot of the information, whether that is to register for courses or to go to the online self-service, and we'll go through them one-on-one with you, okay? So you will need to sign in right here. Okay. So you can also find your registration date and time. So after you have logged onto the app, you'll be able to find that. And let's see. And in case if you have any hold on your registration account, you will be able to see something called an action item that is pending. So it could be that if it probably won't happen to you, but in case if you see an action item, you may want to make sure you deal with it before your registration date and time so that it wouldn't hold you back from registration. But if you don't have any action item, then that means you're all good to go for registration. Okay, so let's talk about registration for the fall 2020 classes. Okay, so there is something called, when you try to register for classes, there might be times that you see some errors. So that can be, for example, closed section, then that means the session is full. If you see an error message that says prerequisites or co-requisites, then that means you don't meet the prerequisite requirement that is required to take that course. And that means you might need to take some courses prior to, or if it's a co-requisite, then that means you will have to take the co-requisite course at the same time that you take the course that you want to take. If you see a time conflict, then that means for the course that you want to register into, you have registered into another course that happens at the same time. So that could be either the class time or it could be the exam time. So make sure you check both the class time and exam time at the time when you try to register for your course or when you try to plan for your courses. And then the next error message that you might receive is called link. So that usually happens when you're trying to register into a language class or into a science class. So for example, if you're trying to register into biology or chemistry 1110, you might notice that there is a lab session that you also need to register. And there is a specific lab link to the lecture that you want to register. So make sure you register into the lab session that is linked to your lecture. So for those of you who would like to do a bachelor's degree in science or an associate degree or diploma in the science field, you may notice that a lot of the classes, for example, math, physics, chemistry, biology courses might require you to have Math 12. And that is minimum C grade on the Math 12. So if you don't have Math 12, then that means you might need to register into, sorry, let me rewind back. So if you don't have Math 12 and you try to register into an university level physics, chemistry, or math course that requires that requirement, then you may get the requirement that says prerequisite not met. And if that's the case, I would suggest that you speak with one of our advisors for us to talk to you a little bit more on what you can do to whether to take the math placement test or to take a math qualifying course to help you to upgrade on your math level in order for you to take the university level physics, chemistry, or math course. So make sure you speak with an advisor if this is the case. But if you have Math 12 with a minimum grade of C, then you may already satisfy the prerequisite requirement. Okay, so there are types of different courses offered at KPU. So we do offer qualifying courses, okay? And as you're probably aware, a lot of the courses in the fall 2020 semester, it will be online. With some of the courses might have a blended structure where there might be some that is on the online and some components being on campus. But most of the courses is gonna be online only, okay? And so there will be session courses. That means some courses are condensed. So let's say, for example, it starts in September and ends in October, or maybe another session can be it starts in November and ends in December. So we will go through a little bit on that further with you. So just want to give you a heads up on what that means. So the fourth type of courses that we have are full-term courses. So these courses starts in September and ends in December. So full-term courses are most common. So it takes the whole term to complete. So let's say, for example, for the fall, it starts in September and ends in December. And intersession courses are the one that we also talked about, right? So the courses that are more condensed. So it only runs for approximately 1.5 months. And most classes are more, there are more classes per week in comparison to the full-term classes. So it can happen in September 8th and then ends in October 19th. Or for example, it might start from, for session 2 classes, it will start from November 2nd and ends on December 12th. Okay. And I would highly recommend that if you're thinking about taking intersession courses because they are at an accelerated rate, I would suggest that you speak with an advisor before taking that class because it can be a lot of work for a student to take this course. Okay, so in terms of qualifying courses, so so these are the courses that will help you to upgrade your skills or knowledge that you need in order to take the undergraduate level courses. So for example, like what we talked about for students who do not have high school grade 12 math, and once you take an university level math, they may also do the math qualifying courses to fulfill the prerequisite requirement so that the student can take the university level math. Okay. So you may wonder, how to differentiate whether a course is qualifying or not. So qualifying courses end with the Q. So for example, ENGQ for English qualifying courses, MATQ for math qualifying courses. And keep in mind that these qualifying courses do not count towards your undergraduate credits. Okay, so online courses. So basically the face-to-face in-class activities or lectures will be replaced with online readings, assignments, and projects, and online lectures as well. So you need to make sure that you will be a self-learner. You will have good time management in order to succeed with the online courses, because you need to have very good self-discipline in order to take the online courses. And in the registration system, you will see that the online courses will have the campus listed as online. Okay, we will go through that a little bit more with you. Okay, some of the classes might be partially online, and some of the coursework might be done in class. If this is the case, you may want to make sure that you are in Canada and that you are able to take up this session where it is partially online and partially having sessions in class. Okay, I would say that for now, if you are taking any for fall, because most courses will be online, the bottom line in here, please see an advisor before registering for any online courses, may not apply to you. Okay, so don't worry about that line. I would say that this will apply more to students who are supposed to take in-person classes, but then they chose to do the online courses. But because for fall 2020, due to COVID, most of the courses will be online, so you can ignore that line that says please see an advisor before registering for any online courses. Okay. So on your to-do list, I would say that make sure to have a valid study permit. Okay. Be familiarized with 1.kpu.ca. Okay. Know how to access your student email, know how to use the online self-service, which is called OSS, or the university calendar, dates and deadlines, ISent App, KPU Moodle, the orientation, and the learning center. And don't worry, these terms might sound very new to you, but we are going to go through them one by one today, okay? Okay, so have a valid study permit. That is very crucial. That's very important. If you're studying outside Canada, you're not required by KPU to have a valid study permit from IRCC when you're studying outside of Canada. However, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are approved for a study permit by the time that you plan to arrive in Canada, and to submit a copy of your study permit to KPU at that time, okay? Additionally, make sure that you're aware of this. This is very important. Anytime that you spend studying online before you are approved for a study permit may not count towards your eligibility criteria for the PGWP, post-graduation work permit. So I'm gonna read this again. So anytime that you spend studying online before you have been approved for a study permit may not count towards your eligibility for the post-graduation work permit. So that explains one of the reasons why it is also very crucial for you to have a study permit before you start your studies, okay? So if you're already in Canada and you plan to study inside Canada, okay, then you are required to have a valid study permit from IRCC or be on implied status with IRCC in order to be taking classes. It is your responsibility to maintain your study permit conditions and keep KPU informed about your status. If you are in a situation where you're studying without a valid status, for example, a study permit or implied status, keep in mind that you may be asked to drop your courses without any refund if you have passed the deadline. Okay. So we talked about one.kpu.ca. So you can also for example, there are a lot of the different apps in here that you can access. So university calendar, student email, dates and deadlines and all that. You can see in here that we have the heart right here. And that is because we have saved it as a favorite. Okay, I would suggest that because these apps will be very useful to you. You may want to also save them as your favorite by clicking onto the heart to make it red. That way you are basically having it on your favorite. So anytime that you have logged onto one.kpu.ca, you will be able to find these apps very easily. Okay, so on the one.kpu.ca website, as you can remember, one of the app is student email. So when you have clicked onto it and logged in, then you'll be able to use your student email. So all KPU students have a KPU email account. And it is very, very, very important for you to keep checking that email because sometimes there will be a lot of the communications from the university to you, including it could be emails from the instructors, could be from advisors, or any important notices that might be related to your class registration, or if you're on wait list and your class becomes available right now for your registration, you will also be notified through your KPU email account. So, or maybe if there's any class cancellation, which we don't hope and we don't anticipate in this moment, but in case if there's such notices, it will be sent to you through your KPU email account. So make sure you check your KPU email regularly, okay? And I would say that when you have started with KPU, any communications that you want to establish with KPU, whether that is to email the advisors or to contact your instructors, make sure you use your KPU email account to email anyone inside KPU so that we know who you are and we know that this is a safe channel to relay the information with you, because there is very high security requirements with the KPU email account, so that we know that the information exchange with you, it will be kept private. Whereas if you're using a public email account, for example, Gmail, Hotmail, you wouldn't be able to know whether that is a safe channel to communicate the information with you. And we may ask you to switch back to your KPU email account to email us again, okay? So make sure you use your KPU email account to email us. Okay, and on the one.kpu.ca, you can also access the app that is online self-service. So this will allow you to pay your tuition fees, check your grades, see your transcript, or update any personal information. For example, your contact, your mailing address, your phone number, anything like that, that will be through the online self-service. And the other tab on the one.kpu.ca is University Calendar. This is also very important, and it is the official guide to KPU's academic programs. So it will tell you what courses you need for your program, the description of your program or description of your courses, what kind of requirement, what kind of grades you might need for your program, whether it is an open intake program or a limited intake program. All that information is on the university calendar. So you may want to remember this. This is called a university calendar. Okay, so another tab is the dates and deadlines. So it tells you a lot of the different schedules at KPU. So also tells you by when that you drop your classes, will you get 100% refund or a 70% refund or no refund, or if you will be able to drop it with a W notation. So all that information is on the dates and deadlines webpage. Okay. It also tells you when's the deadline to pay your tuition fee, or if there's any university closure dates. For example, there might be stat holidays, and for example, for Thanksgiving, or maybe for Remembrance Day in the fall term, or maybe when the school will close for winter holidays in December. All that information will be on that app there. Okay. Okay, another really useful app, it is the ISent app. So you can actually download it onto your phone. It is a really good app. It talks about, it has like really good features on, for example, providing you a pre-departure checklist and arrival checklist onto what kind of documents you might need before you come to Canada or on arrival to Canada. It is also an app that you can upload your temporary resident visa or your study permit. There's also an FAQ on answering some of the questions that you might have. And also there are some important information on where the campus is, or how to take transit to KPU. And you can also access your student email through that app too. So it's really useful. If there are any important messages that we want to let you know, we might also like inform you through the app. It's usually, if it's informing you through the app, it's like some general information for all international students. Okay, so the Moodle, it is a place for you to take the, it is where the exchange of information between you and your instructor. So it might be that they might provide you, they might ask you to complete the quizzes on Moodle, or to submit assignment, or ask questions, or discuss the course contents through the forum. So make sure you get yourself familiarized with the Moodle, okay? And the orientation. Probably you will be probably hearing about it more in August. So there will be an online orientation program that you can join to learn more about KPU, and then there will probably be more information on orientation. That will probably happen sometime in like maybe late August or sometime in early September. Okay, so the Learning Center. This is so nice of a resource that KPU has. I wish I had that when I was studying at the university that I was studying at. So it offers like workshops, it offers like tutoring appointments, or appointments with a learning strategist. They will be able to help you with sort of like how you can succeed with the courses that you're working on. So for example, if you start taking a course, let's say economics 1150, and you find it very challenging, you can book a tutor with, you can book an appointment with a tutor. It can be a 30-minute appointment, or it can be an hour appointment. You can also choose the tutors who have taken that course to help you with your subject. And you can choose which tutor you want to go with, and for the tutor to help you with some specific questions that you have with the course. Or for example, if you would like to have somebody to proofread on your assignment or your paper, you may also book the appointment for that as well. Yeah. And the workshops, they're fabulous. So you can, there will be like workshops on how to prepare for final exam, how to better manage your time, or how to boost up your memory for remembering different course materials. So they're all very good. Okay, so make sure you visit the website for more information on that, or you can click onto this app called the Learning Center. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So I know that maybe a lot of you haven't studied at a Canadian classroom before. So you may want to have an open mind when you start studying at a new environment. For Canadian classroom, there will be a lot of sharing of the information, or maybe um, the instructor would like you to think more critically on a specific topic or subject, so that you have a you dig into the topic a little deeper, okay, and so that you can learn from that experience. And yeah, I would say overall, to study in a new environment, it is very crucial to keep an open mind, to sort of like see how others are studying, or to learn from others, and maybe to share the information with others. And that sometimes the instructors might ask you to participate, yeah, or to work with others on a project and things like that. So yeah, so you'll probably be learning more in September. Yeah, so my tip for you is to have an open mind, okay, and keep trying. If you have questions, don't hesitate to contact your instructor or a tutor at the Learning Center. Oh, one thing I want to note is any resources from the Learning Center, whether that's the tutoring appointment or the workshops or the appointments with the learning strategist, they all free of charge. They all covered by KPU. So make sure to make use of this resource, especially they are all prepared for you, okay? If you have any questions for us, you can always email us at internationalstudents@kpu.ca, or you can book a 30-minute appointment with us at advisor.kpu.ca. We also have online drop-in sessions. They are 20 minutes each at most. It goes from every day from Monday to Friday, except Thursday mornings. And it goes from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 2 to 4 p.m. at Vancouver time. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, you can visit our website to see how you can join our drop-in session. But also keep in mind that for drop-in sessions, since it is sort of like a walk-in, so you will need to wait in the line to get to meet with the advisor. And once it reaches the capacity, then we might have to close the queue for drop-in. Whereas online appointments that are 30 minutes, the second bulletin here, those ones are secured. So once you have booked it, you know you will for sure be meeting the advisor at that point of time. Okay. All right. So maybe I'll leave the time right now for Q&A. So let me stop the sharing and let me go to the Q&A session right now. Okay, I see some questions in here about the facilities to get online classes. Do you mean to do online classes? So I would say that it would be through the Moodle, MOODLE, what we have talked about. So that would be the platform where you'll be submitting your assignments or asking questions on the forum, or to complete some quizzes for your course. Another question here is how can I take the facility of KPU library by sitting at home? I would suggest that you go to the library website. There will be some information that might already be online, but I would say some textbooks, sorry, not textbooks, but some of the books that are currently sitting in the library, I don't know if they have a copy of it online, because normally with the COVID, students would visit the library to access those information, right? So I would say most of the information might be sitting inside the library, but there might be some information that you might be able to access online. So you may want to visit the website for more information on that. Sorry, I just noticed that maybe I will go to the, let's see. I missed one question right here. Is it compulsory to take Education 1150 or Education 1100 for graduation? No, so Education 1150 or Education 1100 is not a required course for graduation. But for some programs, if they have a general elective course that you can use for your for completing your program, you may take one of these courses to complete the elective criteria. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. And keep in mind, Education 1150 and Education 1100, they're both the same course. It's that Education 1150 should be chosen by international students, whereas Education 1100 is actually for local domestic students. So make sure if you're interested in this course, do not take both because you will not be getting credits for both since it is the same course. Make sure you're only registering to Education 1150, okay? All right. There is a question on how to log in as my login ID is locked. I would say send an email to international@kpu.ca. If in, sorry, let me wind back. Okay, so if you're trying to log in, the first login will be the one that we went through. So it will be your date of birth, okay, in the format that I showed you. If you're not able to access your account using the default password or the password that you have changed, you can send an email to international@kpu.ca and we will try to reset your password and so that you can log in with the default password, which is the date of birth. I see that there are a lot of questions coming from the same student. I want to give the opportunity to answer other students' questions first, and if we have time, we'll go back to the questions raised by the same student. Here it says, what if I'm not able to provide a new study permit by the deadline, but the request of it is still in process of reviewing? That's a good question. It depends on your situation. I would say make sure you read through the email that we have sent you because there are different scenarios. It depends on if you're studying inside Canada or outside Canada or what you hope to yeah, it depends on your situation. So I would say that make sure you read through the email once again that we have sent you regarding submission of your study permit. And keep in mind that if you want to start studying, even though that you're taking online courses, but only if you valid study permit will your courses be counted towards the post-graduation work permit. So one question is, what are you going to learn through the workshops? Workshops, you mean the learning center workshops? If that's what you're referring to, there will be workshops on sort of like writing, on proofreading, on how to prepare for final exams, how to manage your time. So basically any like useful resources or tips that will help you to succeed with your courses. Okay. All right. 1 second, I'm just going through the questions. Oh, wow. I would say that keep in mind for this Q&A platform, it is more for like general kind of questions that you think will benefit yourself and other students in this webinar. If your question is more specific to your own situation, I would say to book an appointment with us on Advisor Connect. Yeah, so for example, Ken, I see that you have about 6 questions. Would you be able to book an appointment with an advisor so that we can go through them one by one with you? So if you would like to know what kind of courses to choose from to pick the right courses, make sure you refer to the registration handout that we have sent to you and the university calendar for information. If you have questions about that, you can book a 30-minute appointment with us or come join the 20-minute drop-in so that we can see what program you would like to go for, and then we can see what kind of courses will be a good fit for you. So here's one question about the online drop-in session. So the drop-in session is usually for like quick questions, but because right now is registration period, so students can also use a drop-in session to ask more complex questions, for example, course planning. Okay, and it is 20 minutes, and you will be joining through the Zoom app like today. And when you visit our International Advising website, the one that we have pointed out in the website, you will see more information. You will see the link on where you can click to join that drop-in session. So I'm just going through the questions. So question here is, a student has got a visa in February. Can I come to Canada in August, or there will be online classes? I would say it is hard to say at this moment because unfortunately with the COVID virus, things are changing every day. And right now the border is also closed for non-essential travels. So I would suggest that you contact the immigration consultant or ICC or the website to see your eligibility criteria, your eligibility to travel to Canada. And you may also want to check in with your airline to see if you're able to board the flight to Canada as well. As some airlines might have restrictions on what you need to meet on the criteria in order to board the flight. So make sure you check all these things. One question is, how will the labs be conducted? Good question. I would say that if possible, if the material can be conducted online, it will be online. But if some of the information has to be done, oops, sorry, one second. If some of the material has to be covered like in person, then it will be on campus. So when you try to like look for the courses, make sure that you check whether the campus, it is on campus or does it have a location, let's say for example Richmond, Surrey, Civic Plaza, anything like that, to see where it is located. Okay, and I also want to do a quick preview to you to show where you can find the campus of each course. So just give me 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. 1 second, I think I have to reload the page. Okay, now it works. 1 second. Okay, so when you try to register for classes, for example, you click on to register for classes and you select the fall term and go continue. Let's say, for example, if you want to register into an accounting class and you know that the course number is 1110, for say, and then you hit search. Okay, so on here under campus, you'll be able to see whether the course is online. Okay, I will also suggest that you pull this open for the meeting times to see where the building is. If it says online and the room also says online, then that means that course will be completely online. Okay, if there is an in-person component to it, then one of the building or the room will have the specific location on it. Okay, all right, just wanted to show this to you. So if you were thinking, so one of the question is, what is the process to defer your studies to another semester instead of fall 2020? There was an email that went through to you, I think a couple of times, asking for your decision on on whether you want to defer your studies or if you want to continue with fall 2020. And there was also the third option as well. So if that is if you're still thinking about deferring your studies, make sure you go back to that email for information on how to defer, okay? How can I know which courses are required to complete my 2-year diploma? Yeah, so same thing for the other question. Since it is about course planning and we need to go through that deeper with you, I would suggest that you either refer to the registration handout that we sent you, or you book a 30-minute appointment with an advisor, okay? So there's another question about traveling support letter. I would suggest that you contact your airlines and also like IRCC to see whether or not you're able to travel to Canada first. Yeah, but if you need a supporting document and then you have confirmed that with your airlines and your immigration consultant that you're able to travel to Canada, maybe you can email internationalstudents@kpu.ca and then we can look into it further with you. We might need some proof from you that from your airline and also from your immigration consultant on this, okay? What if we don't want to study online by staying outside Canada and want to defer? So if you're deferring, then you won't be studying online in fall 2020, right? I guess. So I'm sorry, I don't quite get your question. But I would say whether you want to studying for fall 2020, or if you want to defer, make sure you refer back to the email that we have sent you for more information on that. So here the question is, how do we know if the courses are synchronous or asynchronous? Unfortunately, you will have to, so I would say, I think 1 to 2 weeks before your course starts, your instructor will be emailing you with the information on how you can join their class. And they will also talk about whether the course will be synchronous or asynchronous. Yeah, so sorry, if there are more questions about traveling, I think we already went through that, and I will mark that as answered, okay? Sorry about that. Is the library reopening in September for students who are already in Canada? Oh, good question. I'm not certain about this. It really depends on how the pandemic progresses. Yeah, so I would suggest that you check the library website for more up-to-date information on when they might reopen. So there's a question on if he or she can register for courses after July 13th. I would say make sure you check when's your registration date and time, and you will be able to start registering once it is your registration date and time. So make sure you check that on your registration system. So for asynchronous classes, will quizzes occur at the time of the registered time of class? This depends on your instructor. Yeah, so I would think that the instructor will probably go through that with you when your class begins, and then when they know when the schedule for the quiz will be, they will tell you a little bit more on that. So there's a question on Bachelor of Science major in health science. Is it transferable to another institution? You'll have to check in with that institution to see if they will recognize the courses. Yeah, so as this is a very specific course question, yeah, I would suggest that you contact that institution for information. I opt for horticulture program for fall 2020. I have blended type of courses. Can I travel to Canada before September? So again, this is related to the question that we talked about in regards to traveling. So I guess that has answered your question. So I'll mark that as answered. How can I know which courses are required for me to complete my 2 years diploma? So again, we went through this information. So make sure you go to the registration handout that we sent you. Also the university calendar, it will list out all the courses that are required for you to complete the program. If you have more question about that, you can book an appointment with an advisor. Okay, since time is running out, I will try to pick questions in here that maybe we haven't really talked about. So question here is how to use one.kpu. The website is actually one.kpu.ca. Once you're there, you'll be able to see the apps that we have went through with you. Okay, let's see. So a question here is how many courses we take in each session. I assume you're asking how many courses would be recommended to take each term or each semester. I would say if this is your first term, about 3 or 4 courses will be most ideal for you to start the program. We normally recommend about 3 courses to start first. So question here is to register for classes, we use the app you mentioned. Yeah, so use the register for classes app that I just showed you over the share screen. Yeah. So the minimum number of courses that you can choose, I would say to be safe, minimum 9 credits. That will allow you to be full-time. One question is, can you get help from a professor? Yes, if you have questions, you may check in with your course instructors. I would suggest that maybe after the course has begun, so that like maybe in the first day of class, maybe the instructor will go through all that information with the whole class, right? So you may want to wait until then, and then if you still have questions, then you can raise it to your instructor. One question here is, are online classes has the same beneficial as in person? I would say it is supposed to be the same. Yeah, so I would say so, yeah. So the deadline to register for fall 2020 courses, I would say once it is your registration date and time, go ahead and register because the classes do get filled very quickly. And the deadline to register, I would say it will be the drop deadline in September, which I can look that up for you. It would be September 21st if you are thinking about registering into a full-term course. Yeah, but don't wait until then. Try to register as soon as you're able to, so that you're able to secure the classes. If yeah, good question. One of the questions here is, would the PowerPoint be available to view after today's presentation? I'm actually not exactly sure on this. I would say wait about 2-3 days if you don't hear any, oh, sorry, it will actually be the weekend. So maybe wait until next Wednesday. If you don't see a copy of the PowerPoint presentation and you would like a copy of it, you can send an email to international students and we can try to send it to you. But just like what we talked about during the presentation, you may also take pictures of the slides. Or we still have another, I think, webinar coming up. I don't exactly remember the date, but you may also join that webinar if you would like to have a refresher on the information. Okay, we're actually landing on 5:30 at this moment. Maybe I'll try to go through 1 or 2 last questions right here. So one question is, how do I download the app to register for classes? So you don't need to download any app for that. So on one.kpu.ca, when you click onto the app that says register for classes, and then you log in, and that's all you need in order to enter into the registration system. So you don't need to download any app. So one question is, can you choose courses that are not in your faculty program? You may be able to, but to make sure that the course can count towards your program, you may want to check in with an advisor so you can book an appointment with an advisor. Yeah. I'll answer just one last question here. So how to book a virtual appointment with an advisor if we're outside Canada? Yeah, so right now all the advising appointments are actually all done online. So you don't have to be in Canada to attend the appointments. It will just be online on an online platform, which we will send you the meeting invite with the information on how to join the online meeting. Yeah. Okay, so I will be, I think we will need to come to an end for the session. If you have more questions, you may book an appointment with us, or you can come join us for the drop-in session that we talked about. I hope this session today was informative. If you still have questions, feel free to join us at another webinar that will happen. Let me check that for you. That will happen on July 13th, 8:30 in the morning in Vancouver time, if you would like a refresher on this information. Okay, all right. Okay, so I hope everyone have a great session with me, and we look forward to seeing you. And yeah, I hope you'll have great luck in your course registration. And if you have more questions, feel free to contact us. Okay, have a great time. Okay, have a great day, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.